This is coming to you from John Wayne's 26 Bar Ranch in Eager, Arizona.
Howdy partners, welcome to another edition of Chilibill's Kitchen. Well, today we're going to do a little different type of dish. This originated in eastern Texas. We're going to do a southwestern style barbecue beef, and you could either serve it as a sandwich or as just a piece of barbecued beef on your plate. But we're going to try to show you the easy way of doing it. Back in the old days, they had to dig a pit about 4 or 5 foot deep, about 3 foot wide, 5 foot long, build a fire in that pit. After all the coals burned down, then they'd put in the meat on top of the hot rocks, cover it up, and let it cook overnight. Well, we're going to try to show you a simpler way of doing it, and I think it turns out just about as good. We'll be right back in just a minute. Don't go away.
Caramba, somebody stole my caballo.
Nobody stole your caballo, Tomato. He took off and became a lawyer after tasting Chilibill's famous championship chili.
Well, I know you from someplace.
I'm Chili Bill, and we're doing a man-on-the-range interview to find out how many of you good folks out there like your chili hot and spicy. That's the way I like mine. Plenty of hot stuff in it to keep my mustachio curled. Here, Tomato, try some of this and become a lawyer, too.
Smells like chili.
Hey, you're getting smarter already, Tomato.
Good chili.
Of course it's good. It's Chilibill's chili, and those of you who like it hot and spicy can enjoy all those good recipes you've seen Chili Bill and his guests cook on Chilibill's Kitchen Show by going to your local trading post or bookstore and picking up a copy of his famous recipe book, If You Like It Hot.
See?
Or you can order it direct by sending.
Oh, well, I'm working on my sauce here. I'm going to try to show you how to make the sauce here in just a minute. We've already made up ours today. I want to finish up what I was telling you before we took the little break there for the commercial on the barbecue. Remember I told you we'd build a pit, and then we fill the pit full of good old hardwood. You know, in this part of the country here it's probably ironwood. In Texas might be mesquite or oak. And then we burn that all the way down, so there's nothing but coals in the bottom of the pit. Then your meat is wrapped in burlap, then in butcher's paper, and it's tied with baling wire. It's put down into the pit, covered over with a piece of tin, and then the pit is covered over. You go back the next morning, and the barbecue's done. That sounds real involved, doesn't it? Well, it is involved, but remember, sometimes they're cooking up 100, 200 pounds of beef this way. Well, most of us at home, we can't cook that much beef at one whack. So what I'm going to do today is try to show you a little simpler way of doing it, and you get just about the same kind of flavor, and we're going to use some new types of equipment, and I'll even give you some hints on some microwave stuff today. First of all, I'm going to tell you how to make the barbecue sauce. This is the old Chili Bill Southwestern barbecue sauce. Found right here in the book, you know, If You Like It Hot. And what we're going to do is I'm going to have to try to tell you how to do it today, so I want you to get a pencil and a paper. And I'm going to try to read it slow enough so that you can write it down. First thing we're going to need 2 cans of tomato juice, 46-ounce cans. That's the big job, you know, the bigger ones. We're going to need 2 14 ounces of ketchup. That's just a standard ketchup bottle. We're going, and this all goes in one big pot. We're going to cook this all in one big pot. Next thing we need is a half a bottle of liquid smoke. You know, it's just the regular processed liquid smoke that you buy in the store. We're going to need 1 bottle of A1 sauce, a small bottle. That's a small bottle, and there's a couple different size bottles. Use a small bottle. Okay, we're going to need 4 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. I never can say that. I'm going to have to get my Scottish buddy here to tell me how to pronounce that. But I pronounce it Worcestershire sauce. We need 4 tablespoons. That's the big, you know, not the teaspoon, but the tablespoon. We're going to need 1/2 pint of port wine. Good old red sweet wine. We're going to need 1 tablespoon of garlic salt, 1 tablespoon of meat tenderizer. I happen to use Adolph's. You can use whatever you want. 1 tablespoon of Tabasco. Sometimes I use a little more if I want it really hot. 4 tablespoons of black pepper. Now that sounds like a lot of black pepper, doesn't it? Well, black pepper is a tenderizer. It is also a preservative. And of course, in the old South, down in Texas, the old black people in the South were the ones that invented this type of barbecue. So what they used it for is a preservative. And that actually has a very good flavor also. So that's really not a lot if you remember that this is a marinade. Okay, 1/2 tablespoon of comino or cumin, you know, our regular spice we use all the time. 2 tablespoons oregano. 1 tablespoon of salt. Now if you want to leave the salt out, if you guys are watching your salt intake, leave the salt out. Won't make that much difference. 1/2 cup of Wesson oil, just plain old Wesson oil. I use, you can use almost any kind of a good oil. Don't skimp on it, but you know, it has to be a halfway decent oil. 2 tablespoons of good old hot horseradish. You know, just the regular horseradish that you can get in the market. 1 tablespoon of barbecue spices. Now, there's many different types of barbecue spices on the market. I happen to use McCormick's, but use what you want to. 2 cups of brown sugar. I like to use the dark brown sugar because it gives it a much better look on the barbecue sauce. 1 tablespoon of dry mustard, just plain old dry mustard. 1 tablespoon of chili powder, good brand of chili powder. There's several on the market. Whatever's in your area, go ahead and use it. And 1 tablespoon of MSG, monosodium glutamate. Now, if you're on a health kick and you don't feel that you want to use monosodium glutamate, well, that's fine. You can leave it out. But it does give it gives the spices a little more kick, because what that does, it stimulates your taste buds. That's what monosodium glutamate does. Mix them all together in a kettle, bring to a boil. I usually try to get about an hour or so on mine. And after the boil, cool it down. You're going to have quite a bit of barbecue sauce. We usually bottle it up, share it with the neighbors, share it with your people that like this type of food. It's not, and they like it, because I tell you, if you'll give a bottle of this to one of your friends, they'll want to know how to make it. I guarantee you that. All right, what we've got now is we've got our sauce done, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to get into the brisket. Now we're going to cook brisket today. Now in the pit barbecue you'd be using great big hunks of meat. We're going to be using a 3 to 4 pound brisket today. Let me get over here to the refrigerator and get the brisket. We just got that this morning down at the store, and of course it's boneless. And this one happens to be 3½. So we're pretty close, right? I'll just take this out of the sack here, and I'll just show you what a good piece of brisket looks like. Now, a piece of brisket comes off the front of the steer, and it's fatty on one side, and it has a very grained appearance. If you'll notice, when you look at one, you can see the grains moving in one direction. Normally, this is a pretty tough piece of meat, unless you know how to cook a brisket properly. And if you don't cook it properly, you'll just sit there and chew on it for half the day. So when we get ready to cut the brisket, a little bit later, I'll show you how to cut it so that it doesn't show so it isn't quite as tough. Now, this is the same thing that corned beef's made out of. Now, let's see, I've got to find my cooking bag. Aha! Look at that. A cooking bag. Just a plain old turkey bag. You can buy them in any of the stores. Probably cook your turkeys in them on Thanksgiving. Well, I found that I can take my brisket and cook it in one of these turkey bags, and it's almost the same as cooking in a pit barbecue. Almost, not quite. And what we do is, I'm going to show you how we do this now. What we do is we just put it into the bag like this. And also, you know, let me see, where's my ladle? Here it is, right here. I've got my ladle. Also, you can cook this in the microwave. I'm going to show you how to do the microwave too. All right, let me get this going here. See if I can do it without slopping it all over the place here. There we go. There we go. I'm going to put in about 2 to 3 cups of the barbecue sauce. Just put it right down in the sack. Now, if you have time, you can do this the night before. And, of course, it marinates overnight, and it's much better if it marinates overnight. I think I've got just about, oh, I need a little bit more there. We've got plenty of sauce. Now, I've done this one before on the show, you know, but it's been a while back that we did this. And this is one of the most popular ones that we do here on Chilibill's Kitchen. That's why we're doing it again. All right, we have about 2 cups of barbecue sauce in with the brisket. Now what we do is we take this up like this, just give that a little spin, and here we go like this. Okay, tie a knot in it, just like this. Now you need to massage it a little bit. Make sure it's covered all over. Now what happens is when you cook it this way, cut this off too, just be careful with it. When you cook it this way, it cooks and keeps the meat juices in. Now the last thing we do before we put it into the oven is I'm going to poke about 2 or 3 holes in the sack like this. And the reason why you do that is to keep it from exploding in your microwave or in your oven. Now there we are. This is what we do with this one now. We take this, we put it into the microwave for, you can put it into the microwave for less than an hour at 50% speed, or we can put it into the regular oven for 3 hours at 350 degrees. We're going to take a little break. I'll be right back, and we're going to show you how to make up these great barbecued beef sandwiches. Don't go away.
When they rode into town, folks tried to gun them down, but the gunfighters always were prepared. They survived by their speed. Killing first became the creed, but the gunfighters' code was holsters.
Howdy, partners. This is your old friend Chili Bill with my good buddies here, Juan Baracho and George Gabby Hayes Jr. We just took those falls for you a minute ago, telling you that no Hollywood magic is in this. Western know-how that makes Chilibill's chili, the authentic, bring-you-back-to-life bowl of red made with lean beef and my own championship chili blend. A real palate pleaser. Why don't you give it a try? Well, let's see, I guess I better eat. Oh, there's only one bowl here?
That's Chilibill's Championship Chili. You'll find that recipe and many more in If You Like It Hot. And we'll send you also, at no additional cost, a bag of Chilibill's Championship Chili Mix. And if you can't find it in town, send for it.
See?
Oh, I just checking on my book here to make sure that I'm doing this right. I think we've got it right today. We're going to start putting this sandwich together now. And what we're going to do is, what I've got to do here first, I've got to get a little bit of this butter going. I happen to be using margarine. I shouldn't say butter, you know, when it isn't. This happens to be margarine. I'm going to get a little bit of this margarine going here, and we have to have some of it melted up here so that we can coat the French bread when we make our sandwich. What we're going to do here now, let's see, I'll get the meat. We took the meat out of the oven, and, you know, remember the magic of television? This is 3.5 hours later. Well, we had one cooked up. Of course, you knew that already. We had this one already cooked up. And what we're going to do now is to show you how to go about cutting this meat up and how to get the sandwich started. We'll have to have this done before I can do my bread. But what we're going to do now, I'll take this out of the sack here for you. That. Oh, that looks good. Looks good. And it's good and hot too. Now there's a lot of juice down in the bottom of this sack. And if you're careful, you can save that juice. You can save that juice. Now if I'm lucky here, I'll get this thing out without getting the juice all over the place. There we go. Hurry up there. There we go. Okay. There's the juice. I'm going to save that. I'm going to put it right back over here in the frying pan. We use that to make up our barbecue sauce the next time. You'll add that to the barbecue sauce. Now, what we have is our nice piece of meat here. And if you look close, you can see that we've got the grains of meat are running this direction right here. Now, if you cut the meat with the grain, it would be very tough to eat, so you have to cut it across the grain. And what we're going to do is I'll get some pieces of this cut up here now. Let's see, let me sharpen this for you. Oh, I haven't gone over this in quite a while. Let me give you another lesson in sharpening a knife. What you need is about 20 degrees on the blade. And you can cut it going away like this if you want to. That's a safe way of doing it. Or if you're real brave, you can do like the French chef does and come toward your hand. I don't like that. I got 5 fingers up here that I like. So I kind of turn the blade around and I go away from myself, just like this. Now, if you can't do that, then put your steel straight up and down like that and just cut toward the boards. 20 degrees, remember, no more than 20 degrees. Just like that. Now when you're cutting this type of meat, you do need a good sharp knife. All right, here we go. Let me cut this meat up a little bit. Now remember the grain's going this way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this meat fairly thin. Fairly thin. And I'm going to cut me enough up here. Let's see. Oh yeah. Turned out good. Nice and tender. And when you cut it this way, you'll see that the grain, you're cutting directly across the grain. I'll do enough to get us one sandwich going. Okay. Now, don't cut it in great big hunks. If you do, it's very difficult to chew. Now remember, in the old days, this was considered junk meat. Nobody else ate it. They always ground it up in hamburger or something like that, or boiled it and made corned beef out of it or something like that. Well, nothing's junk meat anymore. But in the old days, down south and in Texas, the old black people used this, what was considered junk meat or cheap cuts of meat, for their barbecue. And they used the flanks, the briskets, and of course the different types of ribs. Now what we've got, I've got just about enough here. I'll cut just a little bit more up now. And I've got to get that butter or that margarine off of the stove here. Let me get that off of there, right over here. There, I'll just lay that over there and burn the top, probably. And I've got to get out my bread. Now I just use a regular French bread, nothing fancy. Let's see, figure out how to get this thing open here. Like that. Okay, there we go. That's just a normal piece of French bread. Now what I'm going to do with it, though, is I'm going to cut it lengthwise, if I can find my bread knife someplace. There it is. We're going to start, and I'm just going to cut the bread all the way down the middle. Just like that. There we are. And you know, a good bread knife comes in handy. A lot of people don't have them, but they sure do cut the bread right. There we are. Now what we do is I'll lay this right over here, And if we had a little more time, what we'd do is we'd toast this bread. We toast it in the oven on the broiler. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start building this sandwich for you. Let's see here. I'm going to have to find myself something to scoop that with. Hold on just a minute. Let me get down here and find, there's one right there. Okay. I'm going to take this butter and I'm going to put it on to the bread. Just like that. Or you could use a brush if you want to, paint brush or a pastry brush, something like that. Now the reason why you want to do this is to keep the barbecue sauce from soaking in to the bread and making it real mushy. Just a little bit like that. A little more over here on that edge there. We're looking good. Okay. Let me give my barbecue sauce a little stir so we don't get it stuck on the bottom here. Okay, now we start laying the meat onto the sandwich. Now this barbecue sauce here that we made up today earlier, really I kind of stole that from a fellow in Phoenix, Arizona. His name was Tucker, and he had the best barbecue in this part of the country. And old Tucker never would let me have the recipe, of course. And you people that live in Phoenix probably have eaten at old Tuck's place one time or another. And he wouldn't let me have the recipe for the barbecue sauce. So being as sneaky as I am, I was always hanging out there at his place, and I decided I was going to have that barbecue sauce, one way or the other. Well, what I did is I went to the day that he made his barbecue sauce. I went to to his place, and I went out and back to the garbage dump, and I went through his garbage. And I found out what he was putting into his barbecue sauce. Well, when I took it in and told him that I wanted him to try out my barbecue sauce, Tuck got a little uptight. And he said, just remember where you got that barbecue sauce. You stole that from me, but you remember where you got it. So I got to give old Tuck a little bit of credit for that, because he did give me the barbecue sauce. After I went to his garbage bin first. Now, here's what we do. We've stacked this all up. I've got just about enough for a good sandwich here, like this. Now, here's what we do. We put the lid on it, just like that. Well, let's see. I've got mine. Where's yours? No, we're going to cut this up for you. What I'm going to do is I'll just cut this up. Oh, didn't even put the barbecue sauce on it here. Better hurry up. We're running out of time, too. What we're going to do is I'm going to take the barbecue sauce. I'm going to put some barbecue sauce right across it, just like that. Ooh, that looks good, too. Coming right across there like that. It's a little sloppy. So make sure that you've got plenty of paper towels and napkins around when you get ready to eat this. But I'll tell you one thing, it's great. What we do now is we cut it up into individual sandwiches, just like this. That looks good. Cut it up into individual sandwiches, just like this. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back in just a minute, and we're going to try out some of this. I can see the crew out there. They want some too. Don't go away. Oh, howdy, partners. This is old Chili Bill. Just want to remind you, we're going to be coming your way every Saturday right here on KUSK. We're going to be cooking up all those great foods of the Southwest. Enchiladas, tacos, burros, guacamole, barbecue. We sure don't want you to miss any of it. So stay tuned right here on KUSK. Till then, adios. Well, we've got her all done here, and I hope it hasn't gotten cold on us while we're waiting here. Now, what I want to do is go over just a little bit what we did. We made our sauce in our first segment, then we cooked our beef, and then what we did is cut our French bread. We made sure that we covered the French bread with the butter or margarine, and the reason why you do that is to keep it from getting soggy. And I've always found that the French bread seems to be the best in that it doesn't quite get as soggy as, let's say, hamburger buns or some of the other types of bread. It's got a good tough crust on it. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to give some of this stuff out to the crew here. They look kind of hungry out there. They're giving me the eagle eye. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to let them have our good dishes. All I'm going to do is I'm going to feed them on the paper plates or the styrofoam plates as we have nowadays. So I'll let them have one, and I think the floor director out there said that she wanted a piece of the butt off of that, so there she is. Okay, and hey, there's the engineer over there. We've got him. There you go. You've got yours.
Cameraman.
Well, you'll have to wait until we get through. We'll be back next week, and we're going to have something just as good, so adios. We'll see you next time.